fourth main topic today is this. So obviously to keep rolling on the whole James Gunn announcement thing, because that's pretty much all today's show is about, is the next thing I want to talk about is Swamp Thing. This is something that I really actually want and like. They have the Swamp Thing series, which I started, and as 3 episodes in, they canceled it, so I stopped watching it, but it was so good, and I regret always that I haven't gone back and checked the rest of it out. But I'm a huge Man-Thing fan. We finally did get Man-Thing in Werewolf by Night in the MCU. Man-Thing's in the MCU. Love Man-Thing. Love the '04 Australian made to TV movie Man-Thing. Own it. Watch it all the time. Love that thing. So inherently I love Swamp Thing because of that. Man-Thing was created a little bit before Swamp Thing, but Swamp Thing's great, and it's probably the superior version of, their storytelling, at least, of those characters. So yeah, super excited. Let's read a little synopsis. DC Studios is working on a movie that explores the dark origin story of Swamp Thing. That's it. We get no other information. We're leaving it all in mysterious.
Gods and monsters.
Right, no doubt. Again, this is cool because I know that this can be made well from that TV show. I know that this can be done really well. I gotta get back on and finish that TV show. It was so good, man. But yeah, maybe this is, they had bigger plans maybe down the road for Swamp Thing. After seeing how well it was done with that little cheap TV thing, they thought, hey man, maybe this would be a great movie or something. And it looks like we're going to eventually get it. Lucas, Swamp Thing, the movie in the DC universe. What do you think about that?
It makes perfect sense. It seems kind of like out of left field. You got like a Batman, and you got Booster Gold or whatever, and it's Swamp Thing. But the more I think about it, man, I think James Gunn and Peter Safran really do know what they're about to do and what they're getting started with, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, the chapter is called Gods and Monsters, right? And so, I mean, Swamp Thing is like basically help me with the myth. The mythology behind Swamp Thing, right? He's like the
he's like a professor that I can't even remember.
No, I know, but he like represents like he's almost like a representation of Earth, right? Or it's like a manifestation of
like a swamp, basically, kind of like
right. But he's a creator.
Sure.
It's the same. Right?
Sure,
he's like a god, basically.
Kind of. Sure.
Yeah. Sure. So, I'm really curious to see, and they did a horror movie too, so I'm really curious to see what that looks like and how that ties in the bigger picture, but I think it makes sense. I think I can see it really making sense for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, what do you think of them doing like this in kind of like a horror style, kind of like they did?
I think it's
Werewolf by Night.
Well, it makes perfect sense
because something that he mentioned in this, and I think is key, is that he mentioned how I want genre films, which is something the MCU decided, a decade ago, I would say, when they started with Doctor Strange, which is very sci-fi, film. Yeah. And then it proceeded, and now we have Werewolf by Night and these kind of things that are very genre based. So what are your thoughts on that being one of the first, really different genre things?
Obviously James Gunn's learned a lot from his days at Marvel, and he's bringing that to the table here, and that's great. I think it's cool. It's smart, right? Like Marvel had to follow a formula they felt like for so long, and then felt like they could finally branch out into genre jumping, whereas James Gunn and Peter Safran, they're just going straight into it, and maybe because Marvel's paved the path a little bit for him, but it's so I'm really happy that he's doing that. It just from the get-go gives them room to breathe, like, oh yeah, we can do Superman Legacy, and then jump and do Peacemaker, and then jump and do Swamp Thing, right? Like, if you really want to build a universe, a really like long-reaching universe, that longevity needs creativity and needs different, ideas in different formats and different genres. And
Yeah, because you got to
it's
keep
just
our
smart.
interest, right? And I think
Yeah.
if you keep giving us the same
Well, and
shit
get more
over and
people
over, too.
interested
Yeah,
in
yeah,
it,
because you
too,
can bring
right.
in different directors and creators, and that was another thing he mentioned.
different
is
audience
Really,
members,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure, right? Which is the key, right?
Yeah.
Guys, you guys are hearing Swamp Thing. I mean,
I would
go
say
ahead.
just one more thing while we're on that topic. I think also how I was saying he brought a lot from his Marvel days. He's brought a lot from, you could still say from his Marvel days, but being in the director's chair at Marvel, you know what I mean? And now that he's in charge of it with Peter Safran, of course, he's an artist first, right? Like he's a director, you know, he knows when to rein in the kites that are his directors, right? And when to let them fly. And that is awesome because, you know, he's the CEO, co-CEO of the studio. So who's going to tell him, no, you can't make this creative decision? He's he's the guy to do it, you know? And that's awesome that he's had Kevin Feige as a mentor, but also knows what it's like to be on the opposite end of it and how to approach it.
Yeah, and I think he'll get the best. They'll get the best out of James Gunn with this whole thing. But guys,
I think we're seeing it already.
yeah, for sure. You guys are hearing about Swamp Thing, the movie coming in this piece of the puzzle for the DC blueprint by James Gunn and Peter Safran. What do you guys think? You guys excited about this? Love it, hate it? Definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below.